Or you can like subscribe and turn on notifications and see if it like pops up.
We are live.
We are live?
Yep.
Oh, we're live now.
I think we might be. Does it say we are?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to come back?
Yeah.
I think we're live, but we're going to wait just a second for Corey to come back and join me.
Okay.
Do you see it on your end?
Oh, some people are on now.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Look good?
Yes, it looks good. Okay, let me find the people. Oh, it says live on YouTube.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. So today we are joined by a couple of very special guests and really good friends from YouTube, Cayla from the channel Cayla with a C, and her husband, Ethan. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about basically what it's like to have a blind spouse. In our situation, it is me, the blind spouse, and in Cayla and Ethan's situation, Cayla is the blind spouse. So we're going to be having a discussion on a few different topics. But with that being said, Cayla, Ethan, are you guys there?
Yep. We're here. Hopefully everyone can hear us.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is great. So far we have, I'm just gonna quick read through some people who are here and say little shout outs. So we have 10,000 Steps.
Jamisha, thanks so much for being here.
Live and Learn Joy.
Hello.
Tim Ferriss.
Oh, hey, Tim.
Althea Richardson.
Hello.
Stephen Frankie.
Very cool. Thank
Brenda
you.
Jackson. Jamie L. Pam Peters. Christian Hunter. Sean M.
Sean.
Christina Arntz. Cindy Webb. Diane Melendez, sorry. Abe Michelson, Hazel Green, William Householder, Tracy Waters.
Wow.
So we'll go through and give shout outs as we see them. Yeah. And but let's get into the content, and then you guys can ask questions and pipe in and chat amongst yourselves. And I'll be monitoring the comment part.
Yeah, so thank you to all of you for joining us. This is really cool. I mean, a huge turnout already, which is awesome. Really cool.
This is awesome. There's 71 of you guys here, so that's super cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Cool. So before we get into it, Cayla, Ethan, do you guys just want to give yourselves a quick intro? Just talk, maybe, I don't know, introduce yourselves, whatever you want to say.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Cayla. I have a YouTube channel called Cayla with a C, and it's spelled like Cayla with a C. And I talk about all stuff like blindness and disability related. So I am blind. Some of you may notice that I'm wearing glasses, and that confuses people, but they really just help to make things a tiny bit clearer. I can really only see like slightly more than shapes and shadows. So pretty blind. This is my husband, Ethan.
Hey.
And he is completely sighted. And also he's kind of a little bit camera shy. So we're all gonna give him some grace if he doesn't talk a lot.
This is what, my second video?
Yeah. It took me like over a year to convince him to do one video with me on my channel, and then months of convincing him to do this live stream. So he is pretty camera shy. But so we've been married for over 2.5 years. We've been together like over 5.5 years total. And where I'm 27, he's 30. A lot of people think we look a lot younger than we are. And so I guess that's about it about us.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. And Ethan, we really appreciate you joining us. This will be a fun discussion we have here.
Yeah. So Matt, do you want to get into the topic? Like, what are we here for?
Yeah. So like I said in the little intro there, we're going to be talking about kind of the differences between having a blind spouse. In our situation, I'm the blind spouse and Corey's fully sighted. Whereas in Cayla and Ethan's situation, Cayla is the blind one and Ethan is fully sighted. So we thought it might be really interesting. We've come up with a list of maybe like 8 topics or so that we're going to be discussing, and all of us are putting our, I don't know, our opinions and perspectives into all these different topics. So, and Corey will be watching through the chat, so she'll jump in every so often and read through the chat box and everything. But Should we get into the topics?
Yeah. So, really quick, I'll say a couple more shout outs. Chastity Glenn, Jamie
Hello.
L, Ability Mom of 2 Vlogs,
Nice.
Cindy Webb, Caesar Yanes, Messenger of God Lightstorm, and
Very cool.
James Jones.
Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, that's so cool. We really appreciate you being here.
Okay, so first topic is living together. So what was it like when you started living with either a blind person or a new sighted person?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of how was that? Why don't you guys kind of start if you want?
Okay. So we moved in together before we got married. I think we had been together for like a little over a year and a half or so, maybe a little more. And we're planning on getting engaged soon after that. So when we moved in together, I'd say it was I don't know, it didn't really, for us, I don't think it was really a huge adjustment since we had already spent a lot of time together at each one of our apartments. And so I think Ethan was kind of used to me and like knowing to put things back where they go and to not leave shoes in the middle of the floor or to not leave the dishwasher open, which is a blind person's worst enemy.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I feel like what I saw when you lived in your apartment, because you lived by yourself, was that you were very comfortable in your own space because you're so used to it. So I think moving in together, it was that same thing where she just got used to the new apartment that we had together. And once you got used to it, it was pretty easy it wasn't really a thing anymore. You just navigated around on your own, and it wasn't really an issue or anything.
yeah. And I think something that is interesting is like we had a family member of ours had mentioned that they kind of said that Ethan was living with me as like a test run to decide if he could like handle my condition, and that's not what it was at all. Like we made that decision because we were ready to take that step and we wanted to live together. It wasn't a test run. Like I feel like dating is the test run. Like we spent a lot of time together at like each other's apartments, and like he was ready to do that. And I think also like I lived on my own for 6 years before we moved in together. Like no parents, no roommates, like all by myself. And so people that thought like he was just going to be like taking care of me or he would have to help me so much, but it's like I was used to living on my own, so I was really used to being independent. And also like I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 when I started college, and Ethan didn't move out of his parents' house until he was like 24. So actually when we started living together, like I was a lot more used to being on my own and being independent and being like a responsible adult more than him. And I think people just assume since I'm blind that he must have had to be like holding my hand and helping me along the way. And it was really kind of like I was kind of ahead of him in that area.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think like, so for Matt and I, we both lived with our parents until I was like 30 at least.
Yeah.
We were like about 30. So we were both 30 or 31 and we both lived with our parents still. And just because we wanted to, we liked living with our families and it's just what we did and we were welcome there and we just went with it. And then I bought a house a couple months before we got engaged. I did not know I was getting engaged, but Matt knew.
Yeah.
And but I bought a house and we ended up living in the house that I bought initially. And I think for you, I mean, it was a big adjustment just to like, for both of us, just to like not live with our families, I guess. But I think for me, I didn't realize how picky I had to be about like putting stuff away. So like one of the things was like in the fridge, we have a very specific spot. I mean, everybody thinks that they put away like their milk and eggs in the same spot, but do you really put away every single container of cottage cheese in the exact same spot? Do you put every leftover in the same spot? Do you put the blueberries always in the same spot? Not like 4 inches off. Like 4 inches off is too many inches. So at our house, or like, do you put the peanut butter in the cabinet, like in the pantry, like in the exact same spot, not 4 inches off? Most people who are sighted think they do that, but that is not true. And so that was really, really a huge adjustment for us. And I think I'm finally like I think I'm actually really good at it now.
Yeah.
What do you
she's
think
really good.
about like the adjustment, Matt?
Yeah. So like what Corey said, we were both living with our parents, and it was a big adjustment for me because I felt like there was a lot of training that came into living together, because I was living with my parents. They knew my situation. They knew like all of the things that were potentially dangerous. But when I started living with Corey, she had never lived with somebody who was blind before. So it was more like, okay, it's very important to close the dishwasher door, the doors and drawers in the kitchen. It's very important to close those all the way. And like the doors around the house, it's very important to either totally closed or all the way open.
That was actually a big one.
There's no thing, because Cayla, hopefully you never experienced this, but walking into the broad side of a door or like the blunt side of a door is not fun. It hurts really bad.
Yep.
I just did it the other day.
Yeah.
I whacked my face on it. It hurts.
It's really
So,
a bad situation.
There's none of this like in between stuff. It has to be all the way open or all the way closed. So I felt like it took a little while to maybe really emphasize like the importance of that, because if it's not closed all the way or opened all the way, it results in injury.
And you might think like that you're closing, like, so for me, because he's acting like I like leave kitchen drawers and stuff open all the time. But for me, if I'm like in the middle of cooking and I'm reaching for something and my hands are full and then I go back to shut a drawer, for him, he randomly shows up in the kitchen at the exact minute that I have like not yet quite like turned around to close a door. And it's not like I'm a total crazy, like I'm not totally inappropriate, but I have to be so much more careful living with a blind person. And so that was an adjustment. And I think part of the thing that we talk about too is like picking our battles. So I feel like, do you kind of feel that way? Like we have to be super picky about safety things. So I think in a way you almost have to like maybe be like more forgiving about things that are less critical.
Right.
What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree. I feel like the safety issues around the house are by far the most important. And we can work through the other things together, but I feel like Corey's very good now.
It's been improved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna do some shout outs quick. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. We have Trish, and I'm gonna say everybody's names as best I can. Toby Teams,
Hello.
JC5 Productions, Juan, Trisha Faccini, Creations from the Table,
Cindy.
Blind Toes,
Toes.
William Householder,
Nice.
Chris Marie Lee,
Chris Movie.
Bird Nerd Sophie, Carlos Miejas, Footnut Guy. Is that the same as our other friend, Blind Toes, or is Footnut Guy different? Okay.
No, you just read him.
Oh, I did. Okay, so you two need to connect because we have Blind Toes and we have Footnut Guy. So both of you should find each other. Adriana Garcia, Shelly Felipe, Katrina Huff. Oh, every time I say your name, I'm so nervous to say it wrong. I think I'm caught up.
Nice.
So thank you guys so much. Oh,
yeah,
and Ryan's 969.
Very cool.
So
thank you
guys so much for being here.
It's awesome to see you here.
We just wanted to give a shout out.
Yeah. Should we hop into the next topic?
Yeah, I think. Are you guys ready to talk about the next thing?
Yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Okay, great. Next, we have perks of being married to a blind person. So this is something that Ian and I are going to kind of talk a little bit about, and you guys can jump in. Ethan, do you want to start or should I?
I guess I can. I mean, I have one to start with, I guess. So I guess I can go.
Great.
I think one that is a perk. It's perks of you being blind. So, yeah. So I think one perk is that since you don't drive, which is a con for you, but in a lot of situations, but also we only have to have one car, and one car payment and one all that, which is, I'd say that's a perk that we don't have to deal with multiple vehicles. I'm trying to think. I had some more. Do you remember one?
I think another perk is, so I am currently almost finished with graduate school, and which is fully paid for by the state through vocational rehabilitation. So it's not like he's had to work to put me through grad school. Like it's free, and so I think that's a perk. And also, I had my undergrad paid for too, so like I didn't come into the relationship with debt. So that's always nice.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds like a pretty nice perk.
That is cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think he likes that I'm not a backseat driver.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know where we're going. So if he goes the wrong way or like does something that someone else would be like, why did you turn there? Why did you do that? Like I'm just chilling in the passenger side, and
Yeah. You can tell when I turn around a lot.
yeah,
If I keep turning around, you
Yeah.
can kind of pick up on it, and she'll call me out on that. But
yeah, I can tell if he completely missed a turn and he's turning around. But other than that, if he's going like, I don't know, not an optimal way or whatever, like I don't know. So I think that's a perk too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think those are good. So a couple perks that we kind of came up with. One perk is that I feel like Matt judges me not on like my looks, but on what's on the inside, because he can't see me. I mean, he can like, feel me, but he can't see me. And so I feel like what's nice is that I feel like he likes me on the inside and not just like physically, which I think is actually a really kind of special. Because that's a unique situation, and I like that. I also like that I have like a lot of privacy. I feel like, I mean, I can, like if I'm like messing with my hair or doing whatever, he is not like looking at me and being like, what are you looking, quit like look at your fingers, or quit like picking your teeth or something. I don't know. I just feel like I have like privacy, which is kind of a perk. I mean, I'd give up everything to like have him see, but I mean, technically, like those are kind of nice. What other ones did we talk about? You know what? Actually, there is one other thing that we've talked about this on the channel before, but I think that kind of the big perk, the big thing, is that we feel like we get to see, like I get to see a different kind of good side of humanity being with a blind person, because I get to see people be generous, be kind, go out of their way to help Matt. I guess we get to see the world differently than we otherwise would have, and that's something that I feel good about. I also feel like someday we will bring up a family that will, and the people that Matt already has touched in my family, they're better people for, I think, just being in a different type of diversity, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So
I like those.
Yeah,
A lot of good answers, everybody.
Thanks. I've been feverishly trying to think of things. No, I'm just kidding.
I think you brought up a good point with like the privacy stuff, and I think that's another perk is like I'm easy to surprise because he can do things like right under my nose without me noticing. So like one time we were at Disneyland, and it was around Christmas time, and we were at like a shop, and we were standing in front of a rack of jewelry, and he was looking at it, and I like reached my hand out to start like feeling, and he swatted my hand away, and he was like, no, don't touch. I'm looking for something for you. And he literally like picked something out for me like right in front of my face, but since I wasn't touching it, I didn't know what it was. And so he can get away with stuff. And I feel like he's done that multiple times, like bought something in a store when I was right there and I didn't see it, and he was able to surprise me.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's really, and that's like a fun, special thing that you get to experience, that like other people, and like with two-sided people in a relationship, it's not like that. But I think it's cool to appreciate like the quirky things. Like Matt and I have a game that we play where we play like guess what this person looks like. So if we're at the supermarket or something, and our checkout person, maybe they have like, and I'm not judging, but I'm just saying like they might have like dyed purple hair and like a ton of different piercings and like tattoos all over, and they sound like super, super sweet. And it's like, Matt, like, what do you think that person looks like? And he's like, oh, maybe like blonde, short hair. I don't know. And I'm like, no, purple hair. And it's cool because I feel like Matt doesn't judge them. Like you don't, like it's a fun game and it's like fun, but it's also like, it's nice, like Matt gets to meet people instead of judging like, ooh, like that person looks different than me. He can be like, hey, they're like, seem like really interesting or really kind. And so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
yeah.
That's a good video.
Yeah.
Do you guys want me to do a couple more shout outs and then we can move topics?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone in the comments like has any questions or things too, like they can leave those as well.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you know what? Sightless Heroes on, and they said I think this is interesting. Sightless Hero said, I'm blind too. I hate it when I get compared to a deaf person. Has this happened to either of you, Matt or Cayla?
Yes.
Yep.
All the time, unfortunately. Way too often. Yeah.
It's a totally different thing.
I've had sometimes where we've gone to like a show or something, like a play or something like that, and I've had my cane and we've asked for closer seating because I can't see, and then they are like, oh, do you need like the sign language interpreter? And I'm like, no, like I can't even see sign language. Like I don't understand why they like always put those two things together.
I love when you could be having a completely normal conversation with somebody, and out of nowhere you're like, yeah, like I'm blind, I'm visually impaired, whatever like that, and then immediately they start talking really loud. I love that one. It's like, what changed? Seriously, like what changed like 30 seconds ago? You didn't know anything, and I just told you this, and all of a sudden you're like shouting at me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I also think, and I don't know anything because I'm not part of either community, but I think that the communities are different. And I know that there's a lot of like people who are both deaf and blind or are hard of hearing and low vision. But I think that the two communities are very different in a lot of ways. So I'm going to say a couple more shout outs.
Okay.
Joe Quirk just joined. Thank
Hello,
you for being
thanks
here.
for being here.
Beastline Entertainment.
Very cool. Thanks for being here.
Silas here said, can you hear me? LOL. That is like true. Let's see here. Cyan 4414.
Hello.
Beatrice Avalos.
Thanks for being
Blind
here.
Explorer, Richard.
Ah, Richard's
Hi.
here. Hey, Richard.
Okay, I think, Mia McLeod.
Hello.
Bubs is here. Matt's dad. Matt's mom and dad are here.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi, Matt's mom and dad.
Mike Smiles, Gabby Ramos.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, Brenda Jackson, Nyla Kay, Jesse Pearson, and I think that is all the new people that have written comments. Oh, and Barbara Zavala. Barbara Zavala.
Thanks for being here,
And
everybody.
Sharon Reams. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all
everyone.
for commenting. It's just so nice to like hear from everyone. It's just really nice. And Lindy Mallory. She's new to this. Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, should we talk about the next topic?
Yeah.
Also,
Sure.
I just want to say, and I'm watching the comments. If you guys think the sound quality is really bad on our end, let us know in the comments if you feel like you can't hear us, because there's a couple things we can do to tweak it. So I'm just being kind of conscientious of the sound. I know sometimes that can be kind of bad. So anyway, the next thing is gender roles and blindness related to being, gender roles. So this is kind of Matt and Cayla, take it away.
Cayla, go for it. I'll have you go first.
Okay, I feel like we've gone first on all of them. So
That's
So
okay.
that's good. That's a good.
Yeah.
okay.
You're the best.
So I think it's interesting. I just think it's like an interesting concept of like gender roles with like, you know, Matt being a man who's blind versus me being a female who's blind, which Matt and I actually did like a collaboration video probably like a year ago, talking about some different things with that. But I think like for us, one of the biggest differences I think is that for a while in our relationship. I was unemployed. I had a job when we met, and I worked there for almost 2 years, and then I quit because it was miserable. And I was looking for another job for a very long time with no luck. And so I was unemployed for quite a while, and it was like no one thought that was strange. And so when like strangers, like I don't know strangers, but like when I meet someone and they'd say like, "Oh, what do you do?" I would just say, "Oh, I'm a housewife," instead of really getting into the whole, "Well, I'm blind and I've been trying to find a job for 2 years and no one will hire me," and like getting into that. I would just say, "Oh, I'm a housewife," and like that's seen as just so normal for me being a female. And so I think that's one really big difference, as opposed to like when men are unemployed, it's people have like a very different view of that. um what else do you think? I feel like there were other things on this
Um,
topic.
mhm. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
That's
while
true.
Ethan thinks of that,
We can go ahead.
I actually think it's interesting, like to your point that you alluded to, when you were looking for a job, it wasn't such a big deal. But so like Corey and I, we really like to travel. And when we travel, when we meet new people, one of the first things almost everybody says to us, they'll turn to us and be like, "What do you do?" And usually I just kind of act like I didn't hear the question, and Corey usually answers. And then I'll just like sit there, pretend, sometimes I'll just pretend like I didn't hear it, or like, I don't know, and then pretend like they forgot or something.
We
And
need
then-
to work on our social skills.
Because I really don't like that question. I don't like that question at all. And then a lot of times people will be like, a minute later after I've kind of ignored them for like a minute, they'll be like, "So, like, how about you?" And then I'll have to make up some, not really story, but the deal is like, I don't work a traditional job, but I do wear a lot of hats. Like I do a lot of different things. But I don't have a traditional job. Like I don't report to a job 40 hours a week. So for me, it's really hard to admit that because I feel like people look down on me like, "Oh, like, so really you don't really have much going on," when in reality, I actually have a ton going on. So for me, it's like, it makes me really uncomfortable to answer that type of question because I feel like what you were saying, Cayla, is you can say that you're the housewife. I mean, that's just like what society allows, unfortunately.
Mhm.
I mean, you know what I mean? But in my situation, if I were to say like, "Oh, I'm just like a house husband," they'd be like, "No, it just sounds like you're maybe lazy and don't have a job."
And like I
Mhm.
think too, like even like not being able to drive, like people are so concerned that my husband like can't drive. It's weird. Like I'll be
Yeah.
like talking to somebody and something will come up about, my husband's blind, and then they'll say like, "Well, can he drive?" And it's always like, do you think that would be safe? Like, do you want another person who identifies as blind to drive on the roads you do? And I'm nice about it, but it's people are really concerned about that. And I think as a man not driving, I do think it's a little different than saying that you're like a woman who doesn't drive. And maybe it's not that way, but I think it's just a little, I don't know. I think people are kind of weird about that.
Yeah.
Or like Matt,
Yeah.
like, I mean, and blind people can like really enjoy sports and play sports, but you've never, because you've had like pretty poor vision for a long time, I feel like you haven't played sports or enjoyed sports the same way that maybe you would have if you could have seen better. And I feel like that's another thing and again, I know I'm being like stereotypical, like women and men both like sports equally, and blind people can really enjoy sports. I know like JC5 Productions Juan like loves sports, but I think for Matt's vision, it's really hard for him to like follow like the ball or like the puck or anything or people's body. I mean, you can't follow anything you can't see. So.
Right. And for that reason, I've never really gotten into sports my whole life just because, I can't follow it. Like Corey was saying, I can't follow the ball. I can't follow whatever the tool is that is being played in the game. So it's like, it's not interesting to me because I can't follow it. I'm lost the majority of the time.
However, I'm just going to throw this out. Matt's sports skill is playing Frisbee. You can just, like, if you're far, far away from him, like 3 people or 4 people can be playing Frisbee, and you can just like make a noise. Matt will throw that Frisbee into your hand. And the rest of us sighted people are trying to like throw Frisbees and we're running all over the place.
Yeah.
Matt, it's like a gift. Somewhere in the YouTube videos, there's him doing Frisbee, and it's like, like my family was like laughing their heads off. They couldn't believe
Literally,
how good he
yeah.
was.
So people were standing, there were how many, 3 or 4 different
Yeah,
people?
like 3 or 4
And they were
people.
probably, I don't know, pretty far away, but they would hold their hands out literally like this. I'm holding my 2 hands out. And basically they'd hold their hands like that and be like, they make a noise and I'd throw the Frisbee literally between their hands. And they just have
It
to like
was
that.
just crazy. And then they'd like throw it back to us, and it was my job to like catch the Frisbee.
Run after
And
it.
I'd be like running all over the yard because my family can't throw a Frisbee. So anyway, that's just sidebar. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that is
So
interesting.
do you guys have any other gender roles you want to discuss?
I remember one. I think one that we discussed was like having the woman be the blind person in the relationship. I think some people see it's easier to be like, oh, she's like a poor little, I don't know, like there's more sympathy or something because you're like a girl. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
like I think people, it's kind of more normal. Like he's the big, strong man, like taking care of like the poor little blind girl. And so I think people just view it differently because people like expect women to be helpless. So it's like, oh, isn't that so sweet for him to take care of this poor little girl and be this big, strong man and step in and save the day. I think that people kind of view it that way too.
You know, when you mentioned that, it
Yeah.
actually brings something up that I remembered is in some instances, people have asked if Corey is either my caregiver or if she's my PCA. It's like, no. So it's like she's the one, you know, guiding me around and just to look after me all the time.
So then I gotta kiss him on the mouth. No, I'm just kidding. But it is true, and kind of like to your point about like how it's like, oh, Ethan, like way to go taking care of Cayla. This is kind of like part of this kind of like plays into our next question, which is like people's reactions and taking care of things, taking care of each other. People will say things like, oh, it's so good that you're, you know, married, like good for you for marrying Matt. And like, I mean, it's rare, but here and there people act like I've done something good by like marrying Matt. And like, that is not true. I mean, we're equals. Like it is a 50-50 thing at our house.
Right.
I mean, so anyway, that's just like one of the things that people act like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think before we move into that, I did think of another thing with gender, with me being like a blind female, is that Ethan sometimes has to help me with like my appearance. So I'm like asking him like, does this jewelry go with these clothes and do these shoes match? And he like kind of helps style me, which sometimes isn't always easy because he's a guy and he has kind of like a different style than me. But it's interesting because I feel like he's learned more about kind of girl style, like, you know, what colors can you wear rose gold jewelry with? So he can tell me that. And he is currently in training, learning how to pluck my eyebrows. And so just things like that, or like if I put on like lipstick or something, I'll ask him like make sure it's in the lines, which I hardly ever, like I don't really wear makeup, so he's not in too deep to where he's like doing my makeup for me or anything like that. But occasionally I'll like put on lipstick like when I film a video just to like add some color, and he'll make sure it's in the lines and just things like that. So he takes on that a little bit of responsibility of helping me make sure I look good and I match and look coordinated and stuff like that.
I think that's really cool.
That's cool.
I
Yeah,
like that
I
a
like that.
lot. I think that's really neat. Like, it's just like another thing that you guys have that makes your relationship kind of unique and special. And I don't know, I just think that that's really nice. I like that a lot. It's just it's kindness. It's not like him taking care of you. It's like Ethan, like you're just showing each other kindness, like people should, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I like it.
That's really fun.
We're learning so much about both.
I know, I love this.
Yeah.
We never talk to like couples who are, you know, like married, you know, like in the situation that we are. It's just really interesting. This is really fun. I'll do some shout outs quick.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm just gonna start reading names. I know I've read these people before, but there's chit chat back and forth. So Footnut Guy, Chastity Glenn, Toby Teams, Christina Arts. We actually haven't heard from him, I don't think, so that's nice. William Householder, Nyla K, Blind Toes, JC5 Productions, Joe Quirk, Margaret Willingham, Tony Dudley.
Tony.
Hi. Lulu R. Cindy Webb, Creations from the Table, Todd McClendon. I think those are the new people since I've last read comments. A lot of sports questions. They're talking about sports in there a little bit, which is great. So that's about what's going on. Gnome 96, visually impaired designer. Oh, Dal Cecil Runo. Hi.
Hello.
Abby Hips.
Abby. Hey, it's great to hear from
This
you.
is
It's
great.
been a while.
Yeah, this is really nice. Suzanne Alexander. Oh,
Hello.
from Indiana.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks
Oh,
everyone
and
for being here.
Wendell Brooks. And
cool.
I think that's all that so far that's coming
Okay.
in. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you
It's
everyone.
really nice
So
to hear
see
from you
everyone here.
guys.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm gonna just see one JC5 Production said that Matt's superhero power is frisbee throwing at enemies. That's probably true.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. Ethan, not to put you on the spot, but Footnut Guy says that you look like a guy from the band OK Go. I don't know. I like that band. They have a really good, cute like video, but it's been a while, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have to look that up.
Yeah, you'll have to look it up. Okay. Okay, anyway, let's go on.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting one that we thought we would talk about. It's people's reactions to so for kind of what Ethan and I have noticed about people reacting to you being with a blind person. So I'm just going to kind of give an example of this. So we've been out at restaurants before. We're actually in Dominican Republic, and we were at a restaurant at our hotel, and so Matt and I were sitting there, and I was reading the menu to him because that's what we do, because he can't see, so I read the menu to both of us out loud. And the waiter kind of said in Spanish something about ciego or blind, but then he pointed with his fingers to his eyes, to this other waiter, and did a shaking his head, pointed to his eyes and shook his head and pointed at Matt he can't see. And I saw it, and I thought it was initially I kind of thought it was rude, because it sort of is, but it's maybe that was just a good way for them to try and communicate. But it's non-verbally communicating in front of Matt is something we try not to do, because it's not really fair.
True, it's not fair, but it happens all the time.
All the time, 100%. I mean, all the time.
Yeah. Or other instances would be, for example, we like to work out regularly, so we go to the gym, and oftentimes, not often, but I would say every so often I'll ask Corey, are people looking at me, or what's going on? Or I can sense, Cayla, you probably experienced this as well, but sometimes you can just sense that people are looking at you, or people are watching or something. And sometimes it'll be that guy over there, that person over there, what's going on with them? And Corey will be oh, nothing. But give your perspective on that.
I mean, I think sometimes people, because Matt and I hold hands a lot, if he's not using his cane, we hold hands all the time. So we'll be in the gym holding hands, going from machine to machine.
Uh-huh.
And I think people are thinking what the heck? Why are they like this? This is odd, and I think so sometimes people will kind of try and figure what the heck's going on. And even, I mean, honestly, just the amount that we hold hands, I think isn't, because we were on a walk today, and I was noticing people holding hands or not, just because I was thinking about this. And a lot of people don't hold hands all the time, and we hold hands, or he has his hand on my shoulder, couple-y
Mhm.
all the time. And so I think that that's something that, you know, people notice, and,
Yeah.
and that's what they're staring at, trying to figure out like what's going on.
Or if I happen to be wearing one of my Blind to Billionaire shirts, then it's like, oh, okay.
That's actually
Now
kind
I
of
get it.
nice for us.
Yeah.
Because
So-
then it's like makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So,
The pieces come together.
Yeah.
Sunglasses, the shirt.
yeah.
Things are making sense now.
Yeah. What do you guys
Yeah.
kind of, how do you feel?
I think that's interesting that you said that you've noticed other people on walks not holding hands, because like we hold hands everywhere we go and when we go on walks, and like I guess I never really realized that other couples go for walks around the neighborhood and don't hold hands, because it
Yeah.
just feels so natural. And I've never thought like, gee, I wish I wasn't blind so I didn't have to hold his hand all the time. Like it's something that we both enjoy doing, and I feel like we would do even if I wasn't blind. So I just think that's interesting that other sighted couples don't really hold
Mhm.
hands that often.
Mhm.
Yeah, now that you've mentioned it, I have looked. I think I've done that same thing where I've looked to see if other people even hold hands just out walking around, and I see a lot of people that don't. So that is
Mhm.
interesting. I've never thought. I wonder if they're wondering why we're always holding
Yeah.
hands. They probably just think, "Oh,
Yeah, they think we're
they're
cute.
sweet."
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think we're cute too.
People say that all the time. Oh my gosh, you two are so cute. And it's like,
Yeah.
if only you knew.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. But it is
Yeah.
funny, but I think it kind of keeps us close. Like yesterday we were irritated with each other and we were on a walk. And
All day, by the way.
no, it was all day. But we decided to go on a walk. So we went to this park and we were on a walk. And we were like, had old hands for like an hour and a half on this walk, even though I'm thinking that was not what we both wanted to be doing, was holding hands. But we had to, because otherwise that was our option. And I just thought like, this is probably a healing thing.
Mhm.
I'll let you guys know later if it works. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think it's kind of a good thing. Like, no matter how, you know, anybody in a relationship can have a little tiff, you know, when you're out and you're chit chatting with each other and you have like a little argument, or you just don't see something the same way. It doesn't matter when you're blind. You have to keep holding that hand. You have to keep guiding. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think it's actually kind of a good way to have to be married,
Mhm.
because you have to care about the other person, even if you are frustrated. Don't you think that, Matt?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because sighted people
Yeah.
could just be like, I'm going back to the car. But like, you would never, ever, ever, ever do that.
Mhm.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah.
Even as much as you want to. Yeah. No, I agree. That's a good point, because like in the heat of the moment, even though we were maybe frustrated with each other for a little while, it required, like it forced us to kind of bond a little bit more.
Yeah, like have teamwork.
Mhm.
That's actually kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing, because we've had that where like we've been out and you know we have a conversation that turns into a slight argument, and I'll like yank my hand away from his, as in like, you know, I'm mad at you and I just let you know it, and then he'll like grab my hand back, because it's like, you know, this is what we have to do. And I do think it's healing. Like I feel like our fights get resolved a lot quicker because we are doing that. Or like sometimes I'll like cross my arms like I'm mad, and he'll still like hold on to my elbow and still guide me, because like even when I'm mad, like it's still, we still have to do that. But I think it is kind of like you said, a healing thing almost
Mhm.
to have to do that.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
it's cool, because it's like you have to put somebody's needs ahead of yours, even if you're feeling frustrated. Deep down, you like love the person. I read a book. It was called, I think it's called Cockeyed, actually, and it's about it's a blind person wrote the book, and it was very good. But in the book, he talked about a girlfriend of his leaving him in a street, like on a sidewalk, because she was mad, and she was stranded on a sidewalk. And it was like, when I read that, I just thought I couldn't even like imagine that. Like I couldn't even imagine ever doing that.
Mhm.
But maybe that's why they didn't get married. You know what I mean? Like that's just what, because you've had people, I mean, have you ever had, like when you were dating, did you ever have people ditch you?
I don't know about ditch, but in some situations I was maybe like, okay, I'm good here, just like go ahead. and then I needed to figure out on my own. But luckily, in my situation, I never went to places that I wasn't familiar with, so I could navigate. And back then, I had a little more vision than I do. Well, not a little. I had a lot more vision than I do now. So I was actually able to navigate, like if it meant I had to walk somewhere and get a ride or whatever. But that was one thing I strictly never did, was go places that I wasn't familiar with, because I felt like I was very vulnerable if I was ever left.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Should we go on to this concept of taking care of a blind person versus having
before
oh no, go ahead.
Before we move on, Ethan said he had something to say on that topic.
Well, just talking about people noticing, because I think it's kind of specific to me, being very kind of reserved and shy and kind of social, not great with the social stuff. And so I noticed when we would go to Disney, and it's so crowded and there's people passing you everywhere, and then you have your cane out, and then so everybody starts looking at her and me. So everybody we pass is looking at us. And I think that was one thing I noticed, because a lot of people are wondering especially like kids, a lot of kids are very fascinated by it. They don't know. And then parents, just everybody I just see a lot of people looking at us. And I think that was something I really noticed, just because I'm a little uncomfortable with all the attention. I don't know if you call it attention, but just all the eyes pointed our direction.
Yeah, so like when I have my cane, I can really stop a crowd and turn some heads, because people are always like, what is that? She doesn't look blind, which is like a whole other thing. And so I think people look a lot when we're out, and that kind of makes them anxious that people are looking. And I think going back to like what he notices other people's reactions to me, he has told me before that a lot of people like do a double take, like they'll look at me and then they'll like look like, did I just see what I think I saw, like a blind person out and about, like, you know, because I think a lot of people, it's like almost like they've never seen a blind person before, and so it's almost like they're confused, like, wait, is that a blind person at Disney World? Blind people don't come here. And just this kind of like surprise, and so they look. And also I feel like because he usually tells me if people are like looking or staring or whatever, I feel like if we are going somewhere and I'm like dressed up, like fixed up, I feel like he's tells me like more often that people are like staring or doing a double take, because I think that's another thing. It's like that people don't expect a blind person to be young or like attractive, and so they're just like they stare a lot. And so he notices that. And then he brought up like kids, which we run into a lot at Disney World. It's like they straight up stare, and then their parents are like, move out of the way, and they're like yanking them and like almost like causing a scene, and it's like pretty dramatic reaction, which is always interesting.
That is really interesting. My cousin's kid one time, this was like years ago when we just met Matt, really, and we were at 4th of July and we were in a pool, and the little kid was like, is he blind? And the mom was like, shh. And I was like, no, it's okay. You know, like that's okay. It's good to like educate and whatnot. You know, and that's kind of a whole nother thing too, but it is funny, people's reactions. I think either people like stand directly in the path and like don't move, or they like physically yank people out of the way, and we're like, this is crazy. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a couple more shout outs.
Okay.
Tony Dudley, Wendell Brooks, Danny Mac McKenna. Hi. F.A. John Mears, Julius Tan, Macho Hunter, Will White, Mike Walker, Paul's Blind Soup for the Soul.
Oh, hey.
I think Connie Mills, Seol, The Blind Trader, Artfully Yours with Diana, Brenda Jackson.
Nice.
I think everybody else I have, that we're kind of caught up. So thank you guys so much for like
Yeah,
all
that's
your
so cool.
chatting back and forth. It's really fun.
It's always fun to read the names because it's like,
yeah.
as Corey reads the names, it's like, oh yeah,
It's yay.
I just saw them in the comments section, or whatever. I saw a comment from them the other day.
Or it's
Yeah, it's
super
funny.
fun too, because it'll be like, oh my gosh, like that's somebody I'm like less familiar with. Like it's so nice to have everybody here.
Yeah.
So
It's really cool.
yeah, this is just really nice. Gus Vasquez,
Okay.
Liz Stiles.
Hello.
So this is just really nice. It's
Yeah,
so nice
it's so
to like
cool
hear
to see
from
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. I think everything seems good on here.
Okay. Do you want to read the next topic?
Yes, the next topic is the concept of like taking like as if like the sighted person's taking care of the blind person, and just like about that really we have quite equal relationships.
Okay. I feel like we talked about that a little bit, but we can definitely talk about it more.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys have anything else you want to add about that?
I think something that people don't really realize when they like assume that Ethan's like taking care of me or that he's just a saint for being with me is that like he came with a lot of his own baggage. Like everyone has something. So even though he doesn't have a disability, like he has his own stuff that have, that we've had to work through or that I help him with. And so it's like it's more of a partnership, like you guys said. And I think people assume like just because he doesn't have a disability and I do, that like he's the saint for marrying me, but like maybe I'm the saint for marrying him.
Yeah.
Like they don't know what he's like or what our relationship is like. And so I think it's a lot more equal than people think. And I also think that even though he does help me probably more than if he had a sighted wife, but I also have a lot of other good qualities, like having sight or being able-bodied isn't what makes someone a good partner. So like, I have good qualities, like I'm loving and supportive and funny and intelligent and honest and all of these things.
All those things, yes.
All those things and plus more things. And like that's what makes me a good partner. And the fact that I can't see and I may bug him for help more than someone else would doesn't mean that like I'm not a good partner or that it's like some kind of sacrifice of him to be with me. You have anything to add? Any other things you want to add to the list of how good I am?
How good you are, yeah. No, I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well there. I think you did all the things. Yeah, that made sense.
I do think it's true though. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Matt and I both have like, first of all, we both came into our relationship very similar in a lot of ways. The reason we got married is because we do money things the same. We have family values the same. We have so many things that we feel the same about that's what kind of made us click, regardless of if you can see or not, you still have like qualities of a person, and I do think sometimes it is hard. I think sometimes we have issues because of the blindness, but I think most of our issues aren't related to that.
Right.
Wouldn't you say, Matt?
I would definitely say that. And like we were saying earlier, the simple fact that I don't drive, I don't necessarily, I could grab my cane and go leave. If we were in a situation where we were upset with each other, if I had to, I could grab my cane and go walk away down the street if I wanted to. But I feel like because of the visual impairment and I don't have as much freedom or independence as somebody who's fully sighted, by default, I'm here. So like I'm at the house. So if we have a little bit of a situation, like we were talking about earlier, we work through it much more quickly because, we can't just like leave each other. In some instances, I think with two sighted spouses, like with two people, I think maybe in some situations, one spouse may say, well, I'm gonna go shopping for a while, or I'm gonna go to my friend's house, which could just prolong the argument or the discussion. Whereas in our situation, it's like, okay, well, we're both still here. So either we can be upset with each other all day long, or we can just get over it and move on.
And like for us, and I guess maybe because we haven't, had like the worst fights ever, but I've thought about like if we're fighting, you know, if we're not getting along, I feel like it's not really fair for me to get into the car and leave to go to the store to drive around or something because he doesn't have that option. Have you thought about that, Matt?
Not really.
Because I have.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be fair.
No, but I mean, I feel like if I'm mad and I want a waste time, I feel like the equal choice to do would be for me to go into a different part of the house or even go outside of our house.
Which is what we do.
Which is what we do. But I don't feel like it's fair for me to be like, I'm taking the keys and I'm getting the heck out for an hour or two because he doesn't have that option. And so I don't feel like I should get to utilize that option. I don't know. I mean, we've never talked about that, but like yesterday when I was mad, I thought, you know what? I'm not getting in the car because that's not fair.
Right. No, it's good.
Yeah, it's just a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I think that's interesting because I've never really thought about that until just now about like getting mad and one person leaving. Cause I guess I see that on TV. They're like, I'm going for a drive. And I like, as y'all were talking about that, I was just thinking like, if you did that, I would be like, don't you dare. Like, that's so not fair for you to just go for a drive because I can't do that. But like, I don't think, do you ever even think about that?
No, I don't. Yeah, that's never really something I do.
Usually if we're in a fight, usually I'm the one telling him like, go away and give me some space. He usually wants to stay. So I don't think he would ever want to go for a drive. But I mean, like you said, like you can go to a different room in the house, you can go outside. And I think it's like, I really like that, Corey, that you think about like what's fair. And because I feel like that is kind of fighting dirty because it's like, not only are you in a fight and you walked away, but also that, you know, the blind spouse doesn't even have that option. So kind of like adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
That I try and think about that. I mean, I try, you know, I think just as a human, and I'm not saying I'm perfect because I mean, I really am not by any stretch. We're both not, but
no.
I think trying to think about, and this is just humans talking, like whether you're blind or not, but always remembering that you cannot take back words. You know, like I try not to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
be careful.
You have to be careful, and you shouldn't use the blind thing. Like there's certain things you should never say. You know, like if you're mad. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it's all recorded. The whole driving away thing, fighting dirty. So just remember that.
No, I know, but I think it's a good thing to think about.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you guys else that you guys want to cover? Because I think we've kind of gone through our list well. We've been here for about 55 minutes. And I just, I'm not sure if you guys have anything else you want to cover or if you feel good now. I'm going to look and see people. I'm going to read, I'll read some names quickly while you guys are thinking. Okay. Brenda Jackson, Mohammed.
Hello.
Fixing It Blind.
Jesse.
Let's see here. Will White, Jamie C.
Nice.
Okay, so Will White asked, before y'all got married, how did you get around? Service dog or family member navigate through life? I mean, so like, that makes sense. So like, how did you guys, what did you do before you were married? Like who helped you if you needed help at that point? Or
That's
if you're
a good
not with your
question.
spouse?
For me, really quickly, it was just all family. Yeah.
Because how many years did you need help in between seeing it?
It actually wasn't all that
like
long.
5 years?
My vision really declined. So I'm currently 35. My vision declined really like from the age of about 28. My vision was pretty good. I was mostly dependent or independent until about 27, 28. And then my vision declined pretty rapidly after that. And then we met, I believe, when we were,
I think you were just turning 30.
I was just about to turn 30. Yeah. So it wasn't that long, maybe 2 years at the most.
Okay.
Roughly. Yeah. Cayla, what about you?
So for me, I got cane training when I was 18. When I started college was when I started using a cane and got training on that. So I would use a cane or just like whoever I was out with, like friend or family member. I back then, like I had enough vision to like follow someone or walk beside them. So I didn't really like hold on to someone's arm unless it was dark. So I just kind of like stick close to whoever I was with, or I would use my cane. And also I like my first job, like before we met. So I think we met when I was like 22 or so, and I had already been out of college for a few months, and so I had my first job, and I was like, I walked to the bus stop with my cane. I took the bus to work, and then I got off work at midnight. The bus wasn't running. I took a cab home, so it was like I was used to doing things on my own. So it's kind of like it's nice that you have a car and you can take me places, but like I don't need you. Like I'm not relying on this, and so like I like holding his hand when we're out. I just prefer to hold hands or to hold onto his arm, but like I could navigate with a cane on my own. Like I don't need him, but that's how we prefer to do it.
I agree with that. Yeah, I just started the O&M training back late last year, but obviously that has stopped now with everything going on right now. But if I had to, I could rely on my cane skills. Of course, when Corey and I are out,
Now you can.
now I can.
Before
As
you-
of a few months ago, I would be completely fine walking around with a cane, but as long as Corey's with me, I would just prefer having Corey be my sighted guide.
Somebody asked a good question.
Oh, that is good.
But-
Let's see here. Fran Post. Let's see here. Rin the Demon. Kelly Glover.
Wow. Hello, everyone.
Scott Barlow.
Hello,
Brenda Jackson.
Brenda.
Um,
Do we have any more
Joe
topics?
Quirk.
Hello. Ethan, did you say you have a question?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
so-
someone asked a good question in the chat.
I think it was, let's see, Footy Nut Guy said, have the sighted partners become better at describing things over the years? And I think that was a big one.
Yes.
Because I definitely had a hard time with that in the beginning, and I think that has improved quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would say hands down, yes, he has improved so much, because in the beginning it was not good at all.
No.
And I think usually like the big test is like he describes for me when we go to Disney, like that's the big thing. And so like the first couple times we went, he didn't really describe at all. And I remember one time we were there around Christmas time, and there was a parade, and it was at night, and so like I couldn't really see what was going on, and I was like wanting him to describe it, and he just wasn't. And I was like literally crying, and we had this like a big thing in the middle of Disney World that he wasn't describing. And then but now when we go, he is great, and he describes things like really well, and it's just funny to look back on how he used to be pretty terrible at it, and now he's really good, and he thinks about it. Like I don't even have to ask like what's going on, like he just does it. And he's better at describing, like if we're watching TV or a movie that doesn't have audio description, like we usually, if it has description, we'll watch it with it, and he prefers the audio description, like he prefers someone else to do it. But if it's not an option, he describes, and he's pretty good at it. Sometimes I get frustrated because he takes too long to get the words out, and it's like that's already moved on, and now they're talking, and he's still talking. He's over here. It's they saw this, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like I'm trying to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I definitely think he's gotten like 100 times better at describing things.
Yeah.
It's actually funny because I was going to answer that question as well, but I thought, you know what? You actually just answered it for me, because I feel the exact same way about Corey. And I don't even have to ask for it anymore. She just, like, for example, like today when we're out on the walk, I mean, one of the things that we really enjoy, we like people watching. And Corey likes to describe what people are wearing, because I think it's really interesting. Of course, that's not the only thing we talk about, but like when we're traveling, she does a really good job of describing like the scenery, we love going to beaches. That's like our thing. So she describes everything about it, or like as we're driving to the beach, or as we're flying over an island or something like that, she describes in detail like every last little thing. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like seriously, that's too much information. I don't need that much. But compared to how it was back in the day, like when we first met, there was essentially no dictation because I don't think she truly understood the extent of my vision loss for quite a while. I think it takes a long time. And Cayla, you probably experienced this too. I think it takes a long time to be able to accurately verbalize like how we actually see. For some people, I realize like it's not as clear cut as you think it is on how like explaining how we see. I tell everybody it's different, like literally in every situation, and that makes no sense at all. But unless you actually live with someone and you spend a lot of time with that person to actually experience, like, okay, in this situation, Matt can see like this. In a dark situation, he can see this. Generally, it's very little from what I see, but in every situation, it's different. So I feel like until Corey actually experienced that with me in many different situations, she truly didn't understand the extent of my vision loss. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think too, when you can see, you almost like don't know what to describe. Like I agree with Ethan, even though I'm a chatter and I talk a lot, it's hard for me to get my words out when I'm trying to tell him certain things. Or like if we go to Menards and I'm supposed to describe like something that I'm seeing in the hammer aisle, like I don't know what all the things are called. Like
I lose
don't
interest before she says it.
no,
like,
but he's like, well, what are,
he'll
he'll be like, what aisle are we in? And I'm like, I don't even know what these things are. Like, I don't even know how to describe what I'm seeing. And like, I can't find my words to describe certain things. But now I think too, I kind of know what he cares about. So like certain things I don't bother describing. Like if I see a dog, like I guess maybe this will probably polarize us, but you know, we don't have a dog. And so I maybe don't describe every detail of every dog I see. You know, like he doesn't care what
but
types
for me,
of dogs.
all I need to know is
I might
it's a
say
dog.
like big
That's all I
dog
care.
or little dog or a black dog or a white dog, but I don't need to be like, oh, it's a schnauzer. Like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So I can like not have that information. But if I'm seeing other things that we do care about, then I go into greater detail. So you kind of like learn that. I think you kind of learn that skill. Somebody asked if being blind affects your circadian rhythm. I'm curious actually for Cayla about that.
Yeah, go ahead and answer that, Cayla, because
do you know? Because I mean, we talk about.
Yeah, we talk about it.
Do you have anything to say about your sleeping?
I feel like it doesn't because I since I still have light perception, so like when it's bright in the mornings, it wakes me up. But I do think because I don't use my eyes, like the other day, yesterday we were watching a movie and it's like I can't really see what's going on, the audio description's on, so like I'm not really getting that visual stimulation. So it's kind of like I'll close my eyes or I'm just like staring at the screen and it's not really stimulating my eyes. And I feel like I get really sleepy during movies. And so I think that may play a part of it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, like my sister's fully sighted and she falls asleep during movies like I do. So it could not be a blind thing, but I feel like since I'm not getting like that visual stimulation, I get like sleepy easier. But as far as just like regular, like going to bed and waking up on a normal schedule, I don't feel like it really affects me very much there.
Okay. Yeah. As for me, who knows? It might not be a blind related thing, but yeah, I'm lucky if I get a good night's sleep. It's very rare for me. However, I did find something that helps me sleep, and it's the weirdest thing ever.
You shouldn't even tell people
I
this.
shouldn't even tell people
This
this.
is not advice. This is not medical advice.
No, but it works for me. And I don't know if it's just like a placebo effect or what, but I drink decaf coffee literally right before I go to bed and I sleep like—
in milk, right? Do you put it in milk?
I mix decaffeinated coffee and milk. And when I go to sleep, if I'm lucky, it's like I've died and then risen from the dead in the morning. It is so weird.
It is so
But it
weird.
works. It works maybe like 60 to 70% of the time.
Yeah.
And it makes me sleep so hard.
Yep. It's a sleeping potion.
But if I don't do that, I'm lucky if I sleep at night.
But when we travel and we're out in the sun all day, he sleeps so good. So
Yeah.
I kind of think it has to do with the amount of activity and sun you've had.
Yeah,
Because don't
I
you think
know.
on vacation you 100% of the time sleep so good?
Yeah,
Like it's just
but
weird.
mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Interesting.
So I have one. So I think we'll kind of start narrowing this, kind of narrowing this down a little bit. I have somebody asked a question I think is kind of fun. I'm going to try and say the name. Sistina's Isle.
Okay.
For both couples. Did you ask your friends if the sighted partner was cute or hot when you first met, or did you just trust how you felt about the person, and they're asking for fun? I think this is really cute. I think this is funny.
Yeah.
Because Matt and I mean, we did actually have a discussion about this before I got married.
It was, yeah.
Matt I'm going to just start off by saying this. Matt has never seen me. He doesn't know what I look like physically at all, except that, he can tell like what I kind of feel like, but
except for what people like, how she's
like how I
described.
describe myself. So what's funny is, like, as an example, so like if I'm in the bathroom and I'm looking in the mirror, I'll be like, oh shoot, I've got so many gray hairs. And this has just started happening. And I always say like, oh my gosh, another gray hair. So like in Matt's head, his new picture of me is somebody with like tons of gray hair. Or if I say like, oh, I have like so many freckles or so many something or another, then he just blows it out of proportion in his head. So every time I say something negative about myself, he just like puts that on his image of me. And that is not good for us, But Matt, I'm going to just say too, like when we were dating, I don't think we talked a ton about like if I was cute or not. I mean, I'm sure I maybe, you say stuff, but nothing particular.
Mhm.
But when we got engaged, you brought up that you were worried about marrying somebody you couldn't see a lot of times.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many times you did that? Like,
I don't know.
A lot of times.
Yeah,
You were
it's
really, really, he was so weirded out that he was going to marry somebody he couldn't see. You were really freaked out about it.
But I don't think it helped. At the same time, you kept saying, someday if you can see again, I wonder if you'll think I'm pretty or cute or whatever you would say.
Oh,
Remember saying, I mean, she would say that all the time. So she started freaking me out. Like,
because I was worried, like, what if someday he like wakes up from the surgery or whatever, and he opens his eyes and he's like, ugh. And then it would be like, well, this sucks. But then I'd be like, screw you, I'm leaving, But I mean, that's the thing, is it is weird to think about. Like, so maybe I was worried that he would like leave me if he could see me somehow.
Yeah.
But then that made you think like I was a hideous beast. But I don't know.
But going back to the question, to answer your question, to be completely honest with you, I don't have any friends. I haven't had any friends in years. I consider everybody here on YouTube to be my friends, but in real life, I literally have family as friends, and that's it. So if I ask any friends, the answer is no, because I don't have any. I didn't ask family because I always felt like I could never get a straight answer out of family, just because everybody in family, I mean, they're supposed to tell you what you want to hear, right? I mean, that's just what family does. So I feel like I never asked because I felt like I would never get a straight answer. So I chose that I would just accept Corey for like the personality and the person that she is, because we love so many of the same things. So when I thought about it, I thought, you know what, in this situation, Corey and I love so many of the same things. We have the same values. I'm going to accept her for that over like her physical appearance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So our turn. So ours is kind of a funny story. So how we met is that my sister's husband, they were just dating at the time, but I was asking him if he had any friends that he could fix me up with. And so he was like telling me about a couple people and showing me pictures on his phone. And like back then, like I've never been able to see really details of what people look like. And so I feel like I have always had a different opinion on what is attractive than other people. Like I remember being in high school and being like, oh yeah, this guy is so hot because he had like nice hair. And my friends would be like, no, Cayla, he is ugly. And but it was like, I didn't know any better. So so I was like, my brother-in-law was showing me pictures of guys. And so I was just like making out what I could of what they looked like. And so when he showed me Ethan, I was like, no, I don't do beards. And so for those blind people watching, Ethan has a beard and I was not into it. And so I said no. I said no thanks.
Yep.
And I know that sounds horrible, and but I was not into beards. And then after my brother-in-law didn't really have any other good options for me, it was probably like a month or two later, he was like, I have this friend, I think you would really get along. And he was telling me about him, and I was like, yeah, he sounds great. And then I was like, wait, is that the guy with the beard? And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll meet him anyways. And I convinced him to shave his beard off. Like we had been together maybe like a month or so, and he shaved it off and it didn't look good. And so
And I don't like it. So it hasn't happened since.
yeah, so now I've learned to live with the beard. So I think I feel like I've never really asked people what he looks like, because like I feel like I could see somewhat of what he looked like, and just kind of form a picture in my mind. Like I feel like I don't really see all the details of him, but like when we met, I had enough vision to have an idea of what he looks like. So I don't think I really asked people, but I've had people tell me, like my stepmom tells me all the time how handsome he is, and she's like, he is just such a good looking man. She says that a lot. So yeah.
But Ethan, the real question is, when you met her, did you ask if she wants to feel your face?
I should have.
Cayla, have you ever had that happen? Have you ever had people ask if you want to feel their face?
I think it's happened to me one time. I was at a party and this guy was like, oh, I would let you feel my face, but I'm really sweaty right now, so I'm not going to. And I was just kind of like, okay, like I wouldn't want to, but like thanks for that. And I think that was the only time that has happened to me.
Yeah. I can't even count the number of times I've had people ask me that. It's weird, almost like it's a program. Like an hour into meeting somebody, the line, do you want to feel my face? And the answer is always like, that's really weird. No, that's not going to help me determine what you look like.
Well,
right.
We were at a hotel. We stayed at this place, really nice place that we liked anyway, in Turks and Caicos a couple months ago. And the front desk person, we actually read tons of reviews, and this lady is like the nicest person, and everybody loves Flo, blah, blah, blah. And so we knew she'd be very friendly. It's kind of a boutique hotel, kind of small, whatever. Anyway, people talk about her. And when we got there,
I was wearing my Blinded Billionaire shirt, by the way,
yeah,
so she was wondering about it.
Yeah, she like came up from behind the desk and like made him like touch her face.
Yeah, no, like
And,
I'm kind of like
hands in
Ethan,
the
like
hair.
I'm really uncomfortable with situations like that. But she literally came around the desk, and I was like standing there. She's like, "Feel my face," and I was like, "No, I'm good." And she's like, she grabbed my hands and put them all over her face.
And like,
she's like,
her
"Feel my
hair,
face."
like
She
he had to
forced
feel
me
her
to feel her
hair.
face.
And it was just like, it was just a lot, honestly.
It was really awkward.
I mean, I thought it was funny because it was like, this is so like, Matt is so quiet. It was so uncomfortable.
It was the most uncomfortable thing.
But it was kind of funny.
And we were there for like, I don't know, an hour and a half. Like we had just arrived.
And it was like our first person we met, and we were like, wow, this is a lot. But she truly was like a gift. I mean, she's a wonderful person. But that was really funny.
It was pretty funny, yeah.
That's funny. I'm gonna quick see if anybody else has any questions. Josh NC78. Let's see here. Chastity H. Linda Drew.
A lot of names. Thanks so much for being here.
This is just awesome. Lisa Taylor, Creations from the Table. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions.
I think Ethan said he saw one about asking about who does household chores.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was earlier. I don't remember who it was, but thought that was maybe worth discussing.
Yeah. Do you want to mention
I
it?
feel
Or
like-
go- Yeah, go for it. Answer it if you'd like.
Oh, okay. I feel like for it's mostly me.
Yeah, and it's not because I'm blind, it's just I am the worst housewife ever. And I think he does a lot of the stuff, but also it's I think because he can see the dirt. So he'll be like, "Oh, we need to clean the toilet." And it's like, I don't know when that's dirty because it's a very visual thing. So I think he just like he sees that it needs to be cleaned and he cleans it. And then with like vacuuming too, he's like, "Oh, the carpet's dirty," and he vacuums it. But it's me. It's like we could live in this house for 20 years and the carpet would never be dirty to me unless I spilled something and there were crumbs that I could feel. So I think it's like it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Like I don't notice things are dirty, so like I don't feel the need to clean them. And so he
Mhm.
does a lot of the cleaning. And I think also because he just cleans more efficiently. It's like, if it would take him 5 minutes to vacuum the house, then like, why would I spend an hour doing it if he could do it in 5 minutes is
Mhm.
kind of what we do. But then there are other chores that like laundry. I feel like that's not very visual. So I mean, although I guess that's pretty even. Like I do my own laundry and he does his own laundry, but like sometimes I'll do his laundry. Or like before I was in graduate school, I did his laundry for him because I had a lot more time on my hands.
Mhm.
So I think that Ethan does do more of the cleaning, but like I said, it's not necessarily because I'm blind. I mean, a little bit to do with it, but if he wasn't here and I had to clean on my own, like I could and I would, but I don't really do a lot of it.
I think that makes sense.
Who does the cooking at your house?
So that's a funny question that I get asked a lot, and my answer is neither. Like we don't really cook very often, and it's because we eat different things. Like Ethan eats more healthy and I eat like a small child. So like he will make for himself like grilled chicken and vegetables, and I will make for myself like a sandwich or like macaroni and cheese or something. So I think it's because like we don't really eat the same things. We kind of make our own dinners. But when sometimes we do cook, like especially with this whole quarantine, we've been trying to cook more, and it's probably like a team effort. Like we like to cook together. So like the other day we were making something and he was cooking sausage on the stove, which is not really something that I can do because I can't see when it's cooked. And I was mixing the other ingredients like the egg and the cheese and the milk and stuff. And so when we do cook, it's kind of like a team effort.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or
That's
sometimes he grills, and like I'm not going to operate a grill. So I know it's possible, and there are people who are blind who grill, like blind grilling, but like I'm not gonna go near a grill. So
Yeah.
that's all on him.
Right.
That's really interesting.
It is. To quickly answer
yeah.
that question, like in our situation, Corey and I both have our own tasks as far as what we do for cleaning. So we both do, like for me, I do all of the laundry. Corey does all of the cooking. But when it comes to cooking, I'm more of like the sous chef in some instances, not always, but in some situations, I'll get everything in the kitchen prepped. And then she comes in and does all of the fancy work of actually cooking everything. But I might be the one who preps like the dishes and the whatever, I don't know, utensils she needs for cooking. And then I'll get it all set up and then she comes in and does it. But I would say I don't take really any part in the cooking process. Or if we're going to be grilling, I'm the one who goes out, gets the grill set up. I start the grill, I scrape it all off and get it ready and hot and everything. Then she comes out and puts the whatever she's making on the grill. But yeah, I would say as far as like cleaning goes, I would say it's probably 50-50. I do the things that require less vision, like vacuuming, laundry, washing the windows, vacuuming the hard floors, wiping the counters, things like that. And she does more of the visual cleaning.
They're like, I clean the bathrooms and dust.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do like any laundry. Matt like is the one who changes out our towels and washcloths every day, or whenever he does that. Yeah, we just kind of each have our own jobs, and really I feel like it's less about sight and more about who's like interested in what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just do what works for us.
We just kind of both, like, I just always feel like Matt does a lot of stuff around our house, which is really, really nice.
Mm-hmm. And I recognize there are a lot of things that I can't do. So I try to make up for it as much as I can with other tasks, which would be like house projects.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's nice.
Yeah.
I'm just reading other comments. I don't know that I'm really seeing a lot of other questions. If you guys have other questions, feel free to put them in now. Are you seeing anything, Ethan?
Yeah, I got one. JC5 said, question for Corey and Ethan. Are you guys getting better at understanding what the screen readers are saying since they tend to speak at a fast rate? Which I definitely have gotten better at that and understand. Like if you're on your phone, I'm pretty used to it and understanding how, even though I have heard I do some app testing for work. And the guys there, if they have their accessibility settings turned up real fast, they can't understand it at all. And I'm fine with it. I can hear it. I understand every word they're saying. So I think they've been surprised by that. But I think I'm used to it because I've heard it so much.
Yeah, I think he understands it like just as well as I do because he hears it so much. And it's convenient because sometimes if I want to show him like a Facebook post or something and I'm like, oh my gosh, look what this person says, like I'll just like click on it and like hold the phone out and have like voiceover read it, and he understands it, which is because I'm always like, if you're trying to, because I can't just read something out loud. So if I'm trying to say, oh, this person said blah blah blah, it's just so much easier to just have voiceover read it to him like it read it to me, and he understands it just fine.
I would say for me, I maybe understand it, but usually as soon as Matt's phone starts talking, it's like my ears shut off. So like I like choose not to listen. And actually, honestly, and I've thought a lot, I mean, we've talked a lot about this too, like I have privacy to like look at my phone. And so I want Matt to have whatever privacy he can have because he has less privacy than me. So I always try and like if we're looking at his emails, like I don't scroll through his emails. If we're looking through, like I just don't snoop around, even just, I try really hard to be as privacy, like it's like give him all the privacy I can. And honestly, I hate listening to voiceover. And so I just tune it out. Like she makes me insane. And so I have to like tune her out, even though I know it's the only way Matt can use his phone. Like sometimes when she talks, I just want to like, my ears just like catch on fire or something. So I never listen because I can't stand her, but that's okay. Other questions I'm not seeing. Let's see here.
Did you happen to see anything, Ethan?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I think this is really good. I think we should probably wrap this up because it's been about an hour and 25 minutes. And I just want to be respectful of people's time. So thank you guys all. Do you guys have anything else to add? I think we don't. Do you guys have anything to add?
I don't think so. This was really fun, and thank you guys for having us, and thanks for everyone who showed up. There was a really good turnout. So thank you guys for coming and for watching, and we had fun.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for joining us.
It was fun.
Yeah, this is a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, and Ethan, thanks for joining us. With this whole collaboration is really fun. And for everybody else who watched, we really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah.
We just really appreciate it. So check out, so we're Blind to Billionaire. It's Cayla with a C, and it's spelled like Cayla with a C. So you guys can find her. And so check out our channels. And thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Okay, bye.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Thank you.